Hi everyone, my name is Christopher Barrelones, and today I will be presenting our group's term project, which is option 2, current construction scheduling practice here in Las Vegas. Of course, presenting with me today will be the Miss Anna Garova, the Mr. Emmett Malbrecht, and Miss Vanessa Perez. And to go over the project for today, I will be covering the interviewee and a portion of the company section. Mr. Emmett will be covering the other section of the company and a section of the case project. Miss Anna and Miss Vanessa will be covering the case project, and Miss Vanessa will be covering the questions that our group did come up with. And I hope you guys enjoy this quick little Gantt chart format as we continue on to the interviewee himself. So, Mr. Ray Mago, who is a professional engineer and a project management professional, works with the Parsons Corporation as the senior project control manager. To introduce the Parsons Corporation, it is a company that was founded in 1944 to help the U.S. during World War II militarily. After the war, of course, they did expand into different markets and now currently focus on engineering, construction, and cybersecurity works all around the world. As you can see on these slides over here, you can see some of the work done locally. In terms of infrastructure, we have some which we'll be covering in a little bit, and we have other works done by Parsons Corporation, such as work in our capital, Washington, D.C., and work done in the Middle East even. You can see here a project in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. And now to introduce Parsons' main customer here in Southern Nevada, the Southern Nevada Water Authority. The Water Authority is an intergovernmental agency that is composed of 7 municipal government agencies. Try to say that fast. It serves as our area's wholesale water distributor, infrastructure developer, and water conservation advocate. As you can see below, you can see a couple pictures of where it operates from and where it operates. You see the office in downtown Las Vegas on your bottom left, and then you see a couple places where water comes from. Of course, the main one being Lake Mead. The Water Authority essentially does policy and infrastructure management and has allowed for the Las Vegas Valley to grow exponentially as it has over the past 20 to 30 years. And with some context in mind, I'd like to introduce some recent notable projects done by the Water Authority and by Parsons themselves. The first one being the Water Authority's master plan, the Major Construction and Capital Program. Essentially, this plan highlights where the water is going in terms of infrastructure development, maintenance, and water advocacy over the next 20 to 30 years. The second project I'll be covering is the Low Lake Level Pumping Station. This pumping station was recently completed in 2022. Essentially, it brings up the water from the third intake from the lake and pumps it up the hill and takes it out to the main water reclamation sites and pumps it out to the municipalities for them to distribute to businesses and homes. And finally, I'd like to introduce Lake Mead intake number 3, also known as the third tube, the third straw. This is an intake at the bottom of Lake Mead that ensures that if the lake were to ever drop below dead pool status, which is, I believe, approximately 895 feet, Southern Nevada continues to get water. Essentially, this is an intake that is connected to a 24-foot tunnel that is 3 miles out from the pump, and the pump then takes the water up, of course, and then sends it out to the municipalities for it to be pumped. So with no further ado, I would like to continue on to the next subject presentation for today, which will be...
I would say that is quite an impressive resume of projects. Now that we've seen the scale of their projects, let's look at the tools that help make them so successful, specifically their scheduling tools and techniques that help keep everything moving smoothly. More often than not, Parsons uses Oracle P6 Primavera or Microsoft Project. But at the end of the day, their scheduling software is determined by the client, and Parsons will use the same, which means, on occasion, they have used other scheduling software, but it is very infrequent. Regardless of the scheduling software used, In terms of activity sequencing, Parsons will use the CPM, or critical path method. As we know, the critical path method is the project scheduling technique which uses the longest sequence of activities in a project to determine the minimum amount of time needed to complete the project. Given early and late starts and finishes float, it identifies which activities can be delayed and which ones can't, being the most critical activities. Parsons follows the CSI master format to maintain industry-wide consistency and standardization. This format organizes all project elements into 50 divisions, providing a unified structure that enhances communication, clarifies responsibility, and ensures everyone is working from the same recognized standard. Now, there were several questions surrounding project controls that were asked, which Ray provided a deeper insight. All of the questions, I felt Ray's answer to the look-ahead schedule was the most interesting. When you think of looking ahead, it typically means just that. Let's forecast or estimate the future. But we have also heard the old saying, the past is a great indicator of the future. Parsons' approach on their look-ahead schedules follows that theory. They look at the immediate past week, the current week, and then the 2 future weeks. Now, other project controls included reliable schedule, which is organized following the construction schedule specifications. To maintain that schedule, Parsons meets monthly to measure the current schedule against the baseline schedule to prevent the project from falling behind. To develop that timeline, the contractor durations of activities were confirmed first for reasonableness, then defined and managed in a WBS. When quality is in question, this is based on the project's construction documents and specifications. And to wrap up the general questions surrounding Parsons' scheduling practice, here's a screenshot of Parsons' project schedule using Primavera P6. This particular screenshot illustrates their 4-week look-ahead schedule that I was so impressed with. Again, their 4-week schedule consists of the recent past week, the current week, which is in real time, notice the November 24th date, and then the following 2 future weeks. Lastly, we have key performance indicators, or KPIs, and key scheduling quality metrics. Overall, Parsons uses unique KPIs, which include the following: company sales, marketing, customer service, and operations. This helps them keep track of their company objectives. The key scheduling quality metrics include what you would expect: cost variance, schedule variance, data integrity, and finish variance, to name a few. Well, that wraps up the questions surrounding the company and scheduling in general. We will now dive into a very specific case project.
Thank you, Emmett. Next, we discuss the case project we chose to base our presentation on. Our case project is a major water infrastructure tenant improvement located inside of Lake Mead National Park. It's a large-scale, highly regulated effort with a total value of over $47 million and a duration of 1,216 days, beginning on May 2025 and completing in September of 2028. Because of the size, complexity, and sensitive location, the project required advanced scheduling tools to properly plan, track progress, and identify risks early. The schedule was developed using a detailed work breakdown structure, which captured everything from procurement and fabrication to factory testing, delivery, shutdown sequences, installation, and all commissioning activities. All these activities form the critical path, meaning any delay in one directly pushes the final completion date for all. Determining this path was a collaborative process between the construction manager at risk, the engineer of record, and the construction manager, Parsons. Using scheduling software allowed all parties to logically link tasks, visualize dependencies, and highlight schedule risk. A Gantt chart, as shown on this slide, is used to show progress, float, and forecasted completion, helping the team stay aligned with contractual deadlines and monitor where delays might occur. Next, we discuss our scheduling software, where we'll outline the most commonly used constraints. In developing the schedule, the team had to account for several constraints that directly influence feasibility. First were physical constraints, things like access limitations within the national park, site layout, narrow work zones, and limited space for equipment movement and staging. Construction progress is also contractually required to remain within 5% of the accepted baseline schedule, which adds another layer of pressure. Next, resource constraints. Many work activities rely on highly specialized labor, limited availability equipment, or long lead materials. To prevent over-allocating people or equipment, the team relied on resource leveling, making sure that productivity expectations were realistic and that resources were available when they were needed. Productivity constraints were also major factors. Production rates depend on crew experience, environmental conditions inside the park, and the sensitive nature of the work. Underestimating productivity can quickly lead to schedule slippage. To monitor this, the CEM provided an S-curve, which tracks actual progress against planned progress and helped identify deviations early on. Regulatory and environmental constraints played a huge role because the project is inside a national park, as previously stated. This means strict permitting requires inspections, environmental protections, and seasonal limitations on when certain activities can occur were in place. Safety-related constraints also impacted sequencing, since some tasks cannot occur simultaneously due to conflicting hazards or access restrictions. Financial constraints were equally important. Many materials had lead times of over a year, and some exceeded 2 years from design to delivery. These items had hard contractual dates, and missing those dates resulted in liquidated damages, charging daily to the CEM. This reinforces how critical it is to manage procurement and submittals early and aggressively. Lastly, managerial constraints, such as timely invoicing, schedule updates, submittals, RFIs, RFSs, and as-built drawings, which were planned directly into the schedule. Delays in approvals or decision-making can quickly turn into field delays. To mitigate this, the project incorporated a detailed submittal schedule, invoice deadlines, and a firm CPA update cycle to establish expectations and keep information flowing.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Perez, and I will be continuing on with the case project portion. So for the schedule level, contractors are required to submit fully resource-loaded schedules for all construction projects. Level 5 is the most detailed scheduling requirement. Level 5 Class 1 schedules use bottom-up planning and include detailed allocations of resources such as manpower, equipment, and materials. For the updated schedule, this case project does have an updated schedule. These schedules are updated at the end of the month. Progress performances are measured, and the percent complete is updated to show actual percent complete versus the planned percent complete. And for the recovery schedule, there is one as well. These are in a submittal requirement in the construction specification, if applicable. However, when required, contractors must implement schedule recovery to meet contractor milestones. The current schedule update is on the schedule. And there are also as-built schedules. The as-built schedules are the approved monthly schedules updates for this project. They are required as part of the construction spec sections in the critical path method construction schedule submittals. And as for the 4D, 5D, or 6D schedules, there is none. And the reason that there is none is because the submittal type is not required for this company. And as it was mentioned earlier, the scheduling techniques the company uses as a whole is the critical path method, and the scheduling software the company uses is Primavera P6 Professional and Microsoft Project. Well, for this case project, the scheduling technique also primarily used is the critical path method, and the scheduling software primarily used is Primavera P6. And one of the questions we chose to ask Mr. Mago is, what are some steps for someone to become a successful scheduler? When he mentioned to us that one must try to become more involved in the scheduling roles in their projects, and that one should also focus on strengthening their planning, organization, and communication skills, and that one should also become more familiar with construction drawings and construction specifications. And with all of that, one should also try to strengthen their ability on being able to use scheduling software like Primavera P6. Another question that we chose to ask is, what are some ways to get people more interested in the field of scheduling who are unsure what path to take? He told us that schedulers should share their experiences. They should mention their previous projects that they've been on and their current projects, and mention what type of role that they provided while being on that project to really gain more followers into the scheduling path. The last question we chose to ask was, do you recommend any clubs, memberships, certificates a person can participate in or obtain to become more experienced in the field? And he said that yes, there are a lot of ways to do this. So one could join a membership towards the Association for the Advancement of Cost Engineering, and that one can also gain a certificate through that, and that certificate would be Planning and Scheduling Professional Certificate. And another organization that you can join or subscribe to is the Project Management Institute, and through this you can also gain a certification or scheduling professional. These are some key takeaways from our interview with Mr. Mago. Mr. Mago is a senior project control manager at Parsons Corporation, and he primarily uses Primavera P6 Professional as his primary scheduling software, and the critical path method is used for the scheduling technique. And for the case study that was used for this, we used the project water infrastructure project that he is currently working on. And there are also many organizations or memberships that you can subscribe to become more experienced in scheduling or just to get started. This consists of the AACE or the PMI. And there's also some other certifications that you can get along with that. All right, thank you.